New obesity breakthrough drugs, that's all you're hearing about in the media today. So I thought I'd do a little review of some of these drugs that have come up. I want to start with one of them that came up in the 90s, Fin. You may remember it. It was on Time magazine as the hot new diet pill. It was a small study that started all of this, only 121 people involved. After the study, millions of prescriptions were filled, and they found side effects of serious heart valve lesions resulting in the drug being withdrawn from the market. The next drug to come along was Rimonabant, and it was an endocannabinoid blocker. It blocked your munchies, and it was encouraging on the initial trials, but subsequent trials revealed significant excessive depression, neuropsychiatric side effects, and even suicidal tendencies, which spelled the end of the drug. So in the United States, there were not any anti-obesity drugs approved since 2014, but in June of 2021, there was a drug that got approved, and it was a weekly injection. Now, you may have heard of it as Ozempic. It's the same drug used for diabetes. At a lower dose, it's used for obesity, and it was approved in January of 2020 for diabetes regulation. But does it help weight loss? So if you look at the weight loss trials, we see that compared to placebo, it does help people lose weight. And if you look at the length of the study, 68 weeks, quite a bit of weight loss. However, compared to what? They only lost 5 to 10% of their body weight, the majority of the group, during this study. Now, some people lost up to 20%, but still, we're talking about 68 weeks of dieting. The mode of action was enhanced satiety, so people were more satisfied with their food, delayed gastric emptying, increased insulin secretion. So that's one of the things I don't like. That's why I put it in red here. I don't want your body producing more insulin. And it did have an increase in insulin sensitivity, so the insulin they were producing worked better. That's a good thing as well. The side effects: nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, constipation, and diarrhea, which could be leading to some of the weight loss if you're having those problems. Other rare side effects: allergic reaction, gallstones, and potential medullary thyroid cancer. Now, that was only in animals so far, not in people. If you're going to take Ozempic, what is it going to cost you? How about $1,500 per month and not covered by Medicare or some insurances? And here's the other thing. These drugs have to be taken for a year to 18 months to have their full effect. What is that going to cost for you? $27,000. One other thing to note is you cannot stop taking the drug or the weight comes right back. So you got to be on this drug for life. It's just not practical. So is there a practical, safe solution that causes enhanced satiety, delayed gastric emptying? We don't want to increase insulin, but make your insulin more effective, that has the side effects of making you more healthy? Absolutely there is. And I want to mention some of those practical solutions. Hunger can be caused by a lack of volume in your stomach. You don't eat enough to satisfy your volume sensor. It also can be caused by lack of nutrients in your diet. If you don't get enough nutrients in your diet, your body's constantly going to be pushing you to eat food. So we can increase satiety and make you feel full by filling your stomach up. And what is the absolute best thing to fill your stomach up to trip that volume sensor? Fruits and vegetables. Very low calories, but a lot of volume. On the 7 Systems plan, we encourage people to have some healthy things in their refrigerator that they can throw together into a healthy meal in just minutes. In 2015, a research team found that soybean oil induced obesity, insulin resistance, diabetes, and fatty liver in mice. Our results indicate that in mice, a diet high in soybean oil is more detrimental to metabolic health than a diet high in fructose. Does vegetable oil cause weight gain? Absolutely. And how does that work? Well, here's what we know from the studies. One of the ways that vegetable oils that are in everybody's diet and are 50% of a lot of people's diet increase weight by stimulating the endocannabinoid receptors. Now that's the same thing that some of these drugs blocked. This causes the munchies, very similar to cannabis, if any of you have experienced that. The effect of vegetable oil in mouse models is to make them crave carbohydrates and stimulate them to eat sweet foods and carbohydrates, and it does the same thing to people. So the solution is not a drug. Too much vegetable oil in our diet is the primary factor driving people to be overweight and causing the obesity epidemic. So what's the solution? Well, how about if we radically limit the vegetable and seed oils in our diet, and when we do that, we won't stimulate these endocannabinoid receptors and have the munchies. If you want to delay gastric emptying, what can you do? Well, we know that when you eat protein, it stays in your stomach longer, making you more satisfied for a longer period of time. So I encourage people to eat lean meats, nuts, and beans, all great protein sources. And if you eat foods like we recommend on the 7 Systems Plan, you're going to be satisfied. You'll have delayed gastric emptying, you'll have your volume sensor tripped, and you won't have nutrient deficiencies. Let's talk about insulin for a minute. Decrease insulin and improve insulin sensitivity. That's our goal. We want to decrease the amount of insulin in your body because that makes you store fat. Insulin and weight loss. The release of fat from fat cells is inhibited by high insulin. So when your insulin gets too high, it quits working. You can't access the fat from your fat cells, but you can continue to store it. If we eat a high glycemic meal, a meal high in refined carbohydrates, we get a blood sugar spike. Now that makes your insulin go up, but also you get a drop in blood sugar eventually, and that makes you hungry. So it's a double whammy. If you eat a good balanced diet like the 7 Systems Plan, your blood sugar stays lower longer, you're satisfied for longer, and you don't get a stimulation of insulin release, and you also don't get that low blood sugar response. It's all about the quality of the calories that you eat. 535 calories in that Snickers bar, I'll tell you, it will not satisfy you. I would challenge you to try to eat 6 apples, the same amount of calories. They do different things to your hormones. They do different things to your stomach, to your intestinal tract. I want to encourage you to eat real food, lots of real food. Now, Christy did this following the 7 Systems Plan, and in 6 months lost 50 pounds. Now, that is way quicker than any drug will do, but beyond that, she learned how to eat in a healthy way that satisfied her so she could keep that weight off. Dan lost his obesity and his diabetes in a short period of time. Jody also followed the 7 Systems Plan and lost 65 pounds in 6 months. So here's your action steps. I want you to enhance satiety, delay gastric emptying, decrease insulin, but increase insulin sensitivity, and do it without drugs. And if you like this video, please hit the share button.